You would know it from the lack of activity, but the caucuses set to select the Democratic candidate for president here in Michigan are this Saturday.
24-hour News 8 political reporter Rick Albin joins us to bring us up to speed.
Yeah, it was just a little more actually than 2 months ago that we were inundated with commercials and visits from Republican candidates for the presidential nomination. It's a much different process for the Democrats, who will gather around more than 200 locations to throw their support behind President Obama as their party's nominee. Now, normally we don't predict the outcome of a race before it's held, but in this case we have inevitability on our side, since the president is the only name that will be put into nomination. Registration for the event starts in the morning of Saturday, but the actual caucuses will begin at 11. Locations are listed on the Michigan Democratic Party website, and we've linked them to this story at woodtv.com. Participants will give a show of hands to support the president, or they can vote uncommitted. From this vote, then, the delegate selection process will begin. There are some interesting elements to the caucus process. You don't have to belong to the party to vote that day. You just have to say, at least for today, I am a Democrat. And you don't have to be a registered voter. You just have to promise to be one by the November election, so it all happens on Saturday.
So if we already know the outcome, then why are the Democrats going to basically all this trouble to go through the process, I guess?
Well, there are a couple of reasons. It brings your base out, gets folks a chance to get together and start getting ready for the general election. It's a good time to organize, and they'll have other candidates come and speak. Some candidates will still be getting signature. So you may see some signature petitions for some of those ballot issues we've been talking about. So it's a good opportunity for Democrats to get together and say, okay, here we go. We're getting ready for decision 2012. So they're doing that, and they also have to do it because they have to have a mechanism to select their delegates.
Rick, wasn't the president's name on the February ballot? Does that have any bearing on Saturday's event?
Yeah, you know, Democrats were not happy about that. In fact, Mark Brewer, chairman of the Michigan Democratic Party, called it mischief to put the president's name on there because they did not request it. There were a couple of things. First of all, Democrats were not happy that Republicans were using the state to run their primary. Now, this has happened in the past, and it was a question about how much it costs the state to run the GOP primary. But secondly, the Democrats didn't want the president's name on there because they wanted to do their own caucus, which they are now doing. So that vote means nothing. But if you voted in the primary, it does not preclude you from going to the caucuses. At one point, there was a question about that. So all in all, there aren't a whole lot of limitations on this. This will be the selection process. This is how the Democrats will pick their delegation that will go to the convention this year. And this is really, for us, kind of the beginning of the general election, because we know who the presumptive Republican nominee is, we know who the Democrat nominee is going to be, and we know that Michigan's going to be in play.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Rick.
Thanks.